Hey, Chief, how you doing? Good. How are you? Good. Good. Because you work out.
Yeah. I have a place for
Hey, Chief, man, I did work.
And I called Jeff and yeah, I could do that. No, they got everything. They're probably not hiring you. We don't have a tank. No,
Get through.
in your car, you know.
What up? Carried. So hard to miss. So you said that you're going a little bit now. Put in your
What was the assignment?
Yeah, it says no shirt, no shoes, no mask. I suppose just give him the opportunity to answer his questions and speak. Hi there. Hey, John.
Hi.
Didn't recognize you, Pam.
Hey, Dad. Our buddies up there.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing.
Cross between back and forth. Huh? I'm not knocking that way. Kathy Kirk tried to get me played a few years ago. But I need to do something, get a little exercise. Huh? What are you saying, John?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2020 Candidate Forum sponsored by the International Falls Area Chamber of Commerce. My name is Ward Merrill, and as Executive Director here at the Baptist Community Center, I extend a warm welcome to all of you this evening. Thank you to our candidates who have joined us this evening. We're glad you're here. I'd also like to welcome our audience and thank you for attending this evening's event. We also recognize our remote listening and viewing audience and thank them for tuning in to tonight's forum as well. In addition, we thank all of those involved in putting together this evening's event. K104 FM for the broadcast, the live broadcast of tonight's forum. KCC TV for live streaming the event, as well as recording the forum for future broadcast. The Baptist staff, thank you for setting up the stage in the auditorium this evening, and to our volunteers working here tonight to ensure that the event goes smoothly. I would remind all of you also that Baptist requires wearing face masks in the building and urge you to practice social distancing this evening as well. We had to develop our own COVID preparedness plan, and face masking was part of that plan, and we do require the people in the building this evening. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now I'd like to introduce Dwayne, who will cover the forum outline and the rules for this evening's event. Dwayne?
Thank you, Ward. Good evening. I'm Dwayne Etienne with KGHS KSDM Radio, and proud to be a partner of tonight's forum. This evening on the stage, participants will represent 5 local races. The races will be featured tonight in the order that they are presented are the Rainier City Councilor, 2 openings, the Rainier Mayor, International Falls Councilor at Large, International Falls Mayor, and the Koochisin County Commissioner, District 3. You will find the complete list of all forum participants in your program. Now I'll take a moment here to explain the format for tonight's forum. As each particular race is featured, those candidates will come forward and be seated at the table on the stage. The forum timers will use a green sign to signal the start of a timed response, a yellow sign when 15 seconds are remaining, and a red sign meaning to stop now. Each respective candidate will be given 60 seconds to deliver an opening statement, then questions developed for that race will be asked, and each candidate is allowed 90 seconds for each of their responses. Questions will be presented to each candidate in alternating order. After each race questions are completed, those same candidates will each be allowed 30 seconds for a closing remark. So let's begin. To get things going, I'd like to invite tonight's moderator on stage, Chamber President Tricia Heibel, who will deliver the forum questions this evening. One other item, we would like to give a gentle reminder to the audience and candidates that this is a live broadcast and that FCC rules and regulations apply, so please keep all responses appropriate for a general audience. Thank you.
Doing one of these remote nights tonight, and that's sorry, technical change. I'm with more candidates doing this over here. So these are all off, so the first one will just pass it. Turn it back on. All right. Are we not hearing? Are we hearing me? Not hearing. Right. I do have, you need the mic back. Grab the mic back. All right. Live broadcast, everyone. This ain't Hollywood. Welcome, everyone, this evening. I am grateful to see all of our candidates here and audience members, and welcome again, as Ward mentioned, to all of our remote viewing and listening audience. So as Dwayne went over the rules and the races, and I've got a list of questions and a bunch of candidates, I think we're just going to jump right into it. So this evening we begin with the race for Rainier City Council. With us tonight is Todd Cologne, the incumbent councilor, along with Jennifer Lehmeyer and Jeff McCard. There are 2 openings on the Rainier Council, is also running for the council, but she was unavailable for tonight's forum. June did send a statement regarding her absence that I'll quickly read as the candidates are getting seated. My apologies for being unavailable to attend tonight's candidate forum. I have recently been out of state on family business, and as a result of that travel, I have opted to self-quarantine as a precautionary measure. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event. Voting is a right we should not take for granted. Forums such as this help us gain information as part of our decision-making process. Rainier is a small community with many things to offer. I look forward to being involved as a community member no matter what the outcome of the election is. Regards, June. With that being said, I welcome Todd, Jennifer, and Jeff to the stage. All right, so to begin, we'll ask you each to do a 60-second opening statement or a brief introduction about yourselves. So you'll want to test and make sure that your mic's red light on.
Test.
You're going. So Todd, we'll ask you to start.
All right, I'm Todd Cologne. I've been city council for 8 years. I appreciate that there's citizens of Rainier that have given me the chance to represent them. I still think I have a lot to help out with and offer. We've still got some economic progress to move forward with. We always have a good budget. We still need to work on some of the roads. And I would look forward to serving for another 4 years.
Okay, and Jennifer?
My name is Jennifer Lehmeyer. I'm 35 years old, and I am a 28-year resident of Rainier. I grew up there as a kid. I left for several years to obtain my education out on the West Coast and spent some time in the Twin Cities, and made a big effort to get back home to Rainier. That is where my heart is. There's few things I'm passionate about in life as Rainier. All of my friends know that I'm very passionate about it. And now that I'm back, I want to get involved. I want to be a part of the community, and I want to help be part of the direction that it takes for the future. I want to represent constituents as more than just a tourist location. I want to represent it as a place that people also live as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jeff?
Hello, good evening. First of all, I want to thank the Chamber, Bacchus, KCC TV for broadcasting this and put tonight's event together. Also thank the other candidates and the audience here and watching from home. My name is Jeff McCarg, and I'm running for Rainier City Council. I'm pleased to be speaking tonight about my passion for my hometown. I hope you're as excited as I am for this moment. 2020 has been one heck of a year, and it's my dream that if you vote for me, 2021 will be great. I grew up in Rainier, I played in Rainier, I worked in Rainier, I have had great times in Rainier. In 2012, I decided to move back to my hometown, back to my roots, and a place I'm proud to call home. 3 things I would like you to listen to me speak about tonight: leadership, progress, and change. First, leadership. I'm a proven leader that produces results even in the toughest of times. I'm a good communicator with commitment and confidence to lead. I have the ability to motivate people and work towards a common goal. Second, progress. Progress means things are getting better. Better for all members of the community, not just a few.
Jeff, I hate to interrupt you, but I might have to ask you to save some of that for the end, just for the time. I saw the red getting flashed.
Thank you.
Sorry, just for that. We're gonna ask you about all 3 of those indirectly, though, I believe.
Thank you.
Okay, so question number 1, we're gonna ask Jennifer to start. Being a lakeside city, Rainier's history involves ongoing discussion regarding public water access available within the city, from docks and boat ramps to the beach. The most recent plans outline to build a transient boat harbor, safe harbor, as well as relocate the current boat launch site began in 2018 and has been gaining support and funding despite objections from some citizens. So we're going to start the night with, I think, the question most Rainier citizens are curious of all of you. Do you support these projects for Rainier, and why or why not?
I support them to an extent. I believe that they should be designed in a way that is very compatible with the community as it stands now. I don't think that we should be trying to make big, expensive projects that might bring costs further down the road for our community, especially when now we're facing difficulties from the COVID-19 pandemic that we never foresaw coming. And so I think it's possible to do those new projects, but I think we need to be skeptics, and we also need to just look and see long-term what they might cost us. And I just think, some of the feedback I've gotten from the community members that I've talked to is, they aren't necessarily against the projects, but they want it to be an appropriately sized project for the community. And I would tend to agree with that as well.
Thank you. Jeff, the same question.
As I see it today, yes, I'm for the projects. Change is inevitable. It's difficult. And, some people resist it. I embrace it. With change comes a lot of things and a lot of decisions. And I don't want just the loud voices to be heard. It's the voices of everyone. And, I'm willing to listen. And I don't know enough about all the details of the projects to really give an informed decision at this time. But, working at Harry Erickson store as a young boy, feeding seagulls there on the beach, looking at the size of boats that are currently people own, it's much different than the 16-foot boat that I had as a child. That little ramp is somewhat dangerous. It's crowded down there. Something needs to happen with the boat launch. I know there's some resistance, but I look forward to helping with that change.
Thank you. Todd, same question.
Yeah, I'm I'm definitely for all the change and progress in Rainier. We've worked real hard the last 8 years to bring a lot of different things into Rainier. As far as the boat landing goes, we're still in the progress of making it the final stages of that. Nothing's in cement yet, so to speak, but I just used the boat ramp the other day down at the one that's there now, and it's getting dangerous. The thing is slipping in. You can't hardly get your leveling right, and especially in the summer, if you don't use it early in the morning or late at night, there's too many cars down there by Looney's, and so I just think it needs to be done. And I know that we're still looking at some ways that we're probably not going to lose any trees with the parking lot and all that kind of stuff, but a lot of people think that it's already a done deal, but it's not a done deal yet. We're still in the process of figuring a lot of that stuff out. As far as the dock goes out by Looney's, that's a definite must. I park my boat over at Terrace Wharf, and I see a lot of boats pull up and there's no place to park, so they turn around and leave. I just think it would be great for all the restaurants and the bars that we have in town that we have some place where a boat could park and come and enjoy our little village. So that's where I stand on that. I just, a lot of people are opposed to it, but I hear a lot of people that I talk to that want it to happen. So we just have to find a happy medium, but it's definitely got to take place. I know change is hard, but it's also progressive, so that's where we're at.
Thank you. The next question will start with Jeff. Communities are always evolving and changing, whether through intentional leadership or not. And serving on the council would allow you the opportunity to help shape Rainier's future. General opinions among the citizens vary from tourist destination to retirement village to something else entirely. What do you envision for the future of Rainier and why?
Well, progress. That was one of my original statements. Leadership, progress, and change. I hope progress. Progress is a good thing. And, I think I have the ability to help with the progress and the change. I consider myself a change leader, a clear vision for the future. I'm able to ask the tough questions. I think I'm knowledgeable enough, and I'll lead by example. And, with all that being said, I don't think it's a retirement community. I think it's a vibrant, thriving, tourism-based, entertainment. All of those things need to be part of what Rainier's future is. And I believe that we can achieve it. There's going to be some roads, new roads. There's going to be some ruts, big ruts, but we can pave the way for the future.
Thank you. Todd, same question.
Yeah, I believe that it's turning into a nice little tourist area, but also there's a lot of people that want to come back. And I think there's a possibility that we've talked about it before, that you could have a nice condos out over where Vic Davis or the statues and stuff and that would be parked there. That'd be a great spot for some kind of a condo that wouldn't have to be anything but maintenance-free living for people. That would be one option. And I think the waterfront down by Looney's and all that area and the cantilever, it's just starting to really take off and people are excited about it. And it looks like we're starting to turn into a golf cart community too. So maybe we could have a golf cart parade or some gatherings and stuff just to be something different. So I think there's a lot of stuff that we can do for Rainier. So I'm hoping we can just keep it moving forward.
Thank you. Jennifer, same question.
Part of the reason that I came back after college to live in Rainier was after seeing how the world is so full of expensive places to live. Rainier was really attractive because it was a place you could live near the water and you didn't have to make $150,000 a year. So for me, that was what is attractive to me, that it was an affordable lakeside community, and so it's a little bit hard to watch the affordability for some families in the area to consider even a move to Rainier. So I hear a lot about, progress and that term being tossed around, but that word means a lot of different things to different people, and it just depends on what you value. I value Rainier as a small, tight-knit community where people, you take 5 minutes to walk to the post office and you come back 45 minutes later because you see your neighbors, and And I know that's why a lot of people live there and choose to continue to live there. It took me 4 years to wait to buy a house to get back to Rainier because it's a hard community to get into. I'm very hopeful for its future. I love going to all the places downtown, and I think that there is a happy medium to obtain where we can keep the small town community, where we can still offer something great to families in the area and also to tourists. And I think it's a great balance combination of both, and I think it's okay to take a little extra time to figure out how to make that work. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Our third question, we'll start with Todd. Short-term vacation rentals of residential homes are a growing trend across the United States that has gained popularity through websites like Airbnb and VRBO. We have seen an increase in listings for these types of rentals within the area, as well as an increase in real estate transactions where short-term rental is a primary or secondary purpose of the property. Do you support this type of lodging within Rainier, and do you see the need to regulate these rentals? If so, would you look to the city, the county, or the state to establish regulation on short-term rentals?
Well, I believe in the short-term rentals, but yes, there has to be some control on that. We do have the CBP board that is supposed to be regulating the taxes on all that stuff, and I think some of them are following through with that pretty good, and there's definitely room for improvement. I think we just have to really sit down with the CBP board and come up with an exact plan, because I know there's been a couple new ones just over the last couple of years, and I think it's nice that they can come for a week and spend in our little village. But like I said, I think there definitely has to be some more regulations on that.
And do you think those would be made best at a city level, established for the county, or would you look to the state?
I think it would probably, it should start with the Rainier City and then incorporate with the CBP board, because they're the ones that kind of control all that anyway with the state. So that's where I would go with that.
Thank you. Jennifer, same question?
I definitely would agree that, for regulations and standards, whatever rules they set out would definitely be best served by deciding that locally. I think that's an opportunity for people, to make good money. It is a little bit hard to watch, certain family homes, people who buy investment properties, and that ends up being where you don't have families around anymore. It's just vacation rentals. So there's a struggle where people really, that they actually have with that. Those are concerns that, some of the constituents have said, but I am for it because, if, personal property, and that's what you'd like to do with your personal property, certainly I support that, so.
Thank you. And Jeff, your thoughts on short-term rentals?
I'm all for it. It gives people an opportunity to make a living. I wouldn't consider it personal property at that point. I'd probably consider it a commercial venture. With technology, you see the changes that have happened in our country. Well, you can't get a cab anymore except in International Falls. It's all Uber and Lyft. You want a food delivery, it's not just Domino's, it's Uber Eats. The country and the states are struggling to find a way to make it fair and consistent for everybody. I would say, yeah, it's got to be at a local level, and Rainier needs to move fast. We need to be agile and move fast on this. And as far as the CVB goes, I was a member of the CVB, and once again, the fair and consistency of who pays what and how they pay needs to be addressed. Also, with the locals, there's some people I've talked to that live on the lake, and all of a sudden there's a Airbnb or a Vrbo that pops up close to them, and because we don't have any regulations, all of a sudden a kayak will show up on someone's beach, and they think it's public property. They think they're in the park. So we do have to regulate this. I think it's a local level, at a local level, and yes, I'm for it. It's not a personal issue, it's a commercial issue. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, closing statements for this evening. We'll start with Jennifer. Serving in public office comes with its perks, but can be stressful and feel thankless at times. What motivated you to want to serve the citizens of Rainier, and what are your goals?
When I told people I was close to that I was running for city council, they asked me why. because who would sign up for that kind of abuse? But I'm ready for it. I have a strong backbone and I want to serve. I made it my effort to be here, taking a pay cut at my job, so that I can come back here and live and be a part of the community. I'm a very analytical person. I definitely have the passion it takes to show up and put the time in. And that's where my heart lies, and I'm just hoping people see that.
Thank you, Jennifer. Same question for you, Jeff.
Well, if you know me, I'm restless, I'm passionate, I'm enthusiastic. As your future council person, I'm committed to listening to all sides, not just the people that are outspoken. I'll assess both sides of every issue. I'll draw my own conclusions. Remember, leadership, progress, change. Together we can create a vision, a strategy, and an action plan that bypasses any obstacles. I'm committed and hope, my wife hopes, that you vote for me because Tuesdays I'll get off and she's red light, I'm sorry.
We're not that hard, but it did go a little further. Thank you. And Todd, in closing, as you seek re-election, what are you most proud of having accomplished, and what are you most looking forward to accomplishing for Rainier in the future?
I would say one of the most things I'm proud of with being on the council for the last 8 years is that we've got the budget in line. The last 4 or 5 years, the budget's been in good shape. And also, the reason people want to come to Rainier is our taxes are lower than anybody else in Couchiching County, and based on our tax base, we only are diving into about 35 to 40% of that. So we still have a lot of room if we really needed to get the money, but we haven't raised taxes in the last 6 years. And I think it's just a wonderful place to be, and I hope I can continue representing Rainier.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you all for attending the forum this evening. All right, and now we move on to the race for Rainier Mayor, and we invite the unchallenged incumbent candidate for Rainier Mayor, Dennis Wagner, to come forward. If you'll come to the table, we just have a couple questions for you as well, Mayor, an opportunity to share your future visions with your constituents. No, we're good. Darcy, I'll catch you on TV. All right, so welcome, Mayor Wagner. For opening statement, if you'd like to provide an introduction of yourself to the audience, or...
Dennis Wagner, Mayor of Rainier currently, and very proud of that. I want to thank the Chamber for putting this on, and it's a real opportunity, as you can see, with the folks we have running for council. I think sure it was my job would be easy, because I wouldn't mind working with any of them. Pretty much all focused on the same ideas, and it makes it really easy to lead and present your issues if everybody is on the same page, pulling in the same direction. And so I'm very proud of that community. Like I said, we want to make it happen, and as you can tell from the candidates, we're all on the same page with that.
Excellent, thank you. Our first question for tonight is, in 2010, Rainier annexed Jameson and French Addition from Couchiching County into their city limits. People sometimes confuse where the eastern boundary of Rainier city limits are, and often assume much or part of County Road 20 or the City Beach Road is a part of Rainier. With the understanding that this type of expansion is a collaboration with residents and the county, do you foresee any additional expansions or annexations in Rainier's future, and why or why not?
I don't see anything in the immediate future. I see growth because of the progression that we've made. You know, the quality of the city itself. Financially, we're in great shape. We've got great planning. You know, our maintenance is good. We've got budgets set aside for continual maintenance. We have, you know, great people on the council. And if you walk around the community, you can feel the energy out there, and you can see it with the candidates here. And so, like I said, I don't see any annexations necessary. I know I've been asked a couple times to annex International Falls, but I think we'll pass on that. So, you know, it's just a fun place to be, and it's great opportunity. I think we're bringing those opportunities out And we have some real good council meetings. Obviously, we have some strong discussion here, but from them discussions, we adjust, make adjustments. Obviously, you're not going to please everybody with some of the decisions you make, but you've got to think of the whole picture and keep moving forward and make those decisions with the best judgment you have.
Very good, thank you. Our second question is, the City of Rainier is currently funded primarily through property taxes, profits from the municipal liquor store, and state local government aid. Have you considered adding any new revenue streams to the city? And if so, can you share what funding opportunities you believe are already available or worth exploring for the city?
Well, when I first took office, our LGA was real minor. Very first thing we got done, we talked to our congressmen that were representatives, and we got the LGA doubled. And of course, we operate in our budget. This year, everybody worried about we're good at service. I'm proud of it, but yet we've accomplished everything we wanted to do. We're always looking at energy streams of producing revenue. Obviously, I think everybody's aware of the hotel distillery issue out there. That's going to be generating some more chamber room rents. And I've seen probably 3 or 4 major conceptual ideas coming. I don't think I'm at liberty to talk about them, but I think those will generate taxable sources for us without raising taxes. As Todd said, our tax base is the lowest in the county, and we're going to keep it that way, and there's no reason to raise it. I've got some great ideas that, working with the City of International Falls, I think we could expand the water district, reducing our water problems, and helping the City of International Falls and generating more customers for that, make that so. Reducing costs, I think, is all we have to do. And I see there's like you said, there's been a big influx of tourists and everything else, so obviously there's money generated from that. I don't see annexation of anything.
Very good, thank you. And our next question, over the past few years, Rainier has taken great strides to capitalize on the many features and resources within the city that make it unique and attractive to residents and visitors alike. What do you feel, however, are the biggest challenges the city faces today, and how do you plan to address them?
Well, we still have the railroad problem. Everybody knows it's the busiest port in North America. And obviously that gives us a lot of issues with trains and that. Now, we were successful in getting that road built around, we call it Chapel Lane, around the pond to the east of us. So, in the layout and the highway so that people can avoid that if necessary. But I see the challenges as any municipality. There's going to be lack of, I think, state support because of their budget issues, so I think we have to pay attention to our costs. And like I said, we have a real good handle on them. We set aside monies each year for road maintenance and other properties, other projects. So, and we're working well with the county, especially the county's been really good to work with. I think they recognize the value of the community, so they've been more than helpful. I think we get more than our share of support from them, and thank the commissioners for that. And I think we make good use of it too.
Very good, thank you. And then in closing, you have been serving the city and people of Rainier since 2012. What do you consider to be your biggest accomplishments to date, and what are your goals for your 3rd term as mayor?
Well, probably the biggest accomplishment right away, we got the LGA doubled. It's more than double now. And obviously we got the quiet zone, and that changed the whole makeup of the town. We attracted some investors, and we got that hotel distillery built. We made road improvements. We recognize that's one thing. I have a strong construction background, as most people know, so I can recognize that. And anytime I see a project, be able to scope it out, and I think I know where our needs are, and we have a real good thing. We've always brought our Rainier rink to our little hockey rink. I think it's the cutest one in the state. We may as well make it North America, but that's cute. So a lot of things, I think it was our goal, and I talked real good with the council, and we just like to doing things for ourselves. If we can't, if we do things to make it good for ourselves, it'll be good for everybody. And I can see it happening. We improved the parks, and we have future plans. We plan to look at doing some more in the parks. Of course, the boat landings and the pier, that's things that are on the agenda right now, and we'll see how they progress. I think the boat landing is close, and the pier is something that will be coming up in our discussion here just shortly in the next month or so, how we will move with that. We do have some funding that's been presented to us, a large chunk of money, so we can see what we're going to do with that.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for attending this evening, and thank you for your ongoing service.
Thank you.
Okay, next we move on to the race for International Falls City Council, Councilor at Large. And this evening, our candidates with us are Mike Holden and Pete Kaler. Welcome, gentlemen. So for opening statements, if you would provide a brief introduction of yourself for us this evening, we will start first with Mike.
I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce, K104 Radio, KCC TV for putting on this forum. My name is Mike Holden. I worked for the City of International Falls for 39 years as a registered master electrician. I have been retired for 6 years. My wife, Ann, and I have been married for 45 years. We've raised 5 children. We're all married, and we have 18 grandchildren. I am endorsed by the 49ers Operating Engineers Union, also the Cooch Labor Assembly. I was president of the Cooch Labor Assembly for 4 years, represented 11,000 union members, president of Falls Little League, responsible for over 750 kids. I coach Little League baseball from T-ball to senior league. I was president of Falls Wrestling, director of Labor Day Picnic, currently an ISD 361 school board member, serving as chairman, vice chairman, treasurer, and secretary.
Very good, thank you. And Pete, if you'd introduce yourself as well.
Hi, my name's Pete Kaler. I would also like to thank the Chamber and Backus and all the other people that put this event together, and like to thank all the other candidates up here running, because this is what our democracy and our country is about. So thank you, fellow candidates, and good luck. I'm a lifelong resident of International Falls, born and raised, more specifically Salt Falls. In my part of Salt Falls, I still live in my family home after I moved away in town here, not out of town, but for family reasons, I have a family home in a little part of town I actually like to call Kalerville, because when I was growing up, if you turned around, you're probably going to run into a Kaler. I graduated from Falls Senior High, Rainy River Community College, Bemidji State University with a Bachelor of Science degree in criminal justice. I've been involved in various civic organizations over the years. A few include I've been a coach for different youth sports, football, baseball, basketball, hockey. You know you've been doing it for a while when you start coaching kids. There was some time in between the leg, but I got back into it thanks to Mr. Bolstead, sitting in the front row there. And for the past couple months, I've been chairman of the Falls Charter Commission. And one of my favorite activities I do every year is I get to be the Eggman for the Veterans Breakfast at the Elks Lodge in town here. It's one of the many fine projects they do, and I'm a proud member.
Thank you. All right, our first question this night, we'll start with you, Pete. According to the city's 2019 comprehensive plan, the city of International Falls is amid a 100-year population decline starting in 1960 and is projected to, quote, continue well beyond 2050. Do you believe the city has a role to help stop this population loss, if not turn the trend around? If so, what actions would you like to see taken? And if not, whose responsibility do you believe it is and why?
Well, I believe it is the the city's obligation to try and stop the decline in population. But it's not just the cities, because the whole area is declining in population. And if I'm elected, I will work hard with other groups, whether it be other government entities, civic groups, business groups, to ensure to find ways to find population come back, and of course that includes jobs. And I think one of the ways we got to do to promote more jobs is support the businesses that are already here, but also look out from outside the area. And we need to be welcoming to everybody that comes to town, and we're a kind of place that wants people, wants to do business, and use whatever form of government help we can get to do that, and just be positive. And sometimes I don't think we promote enough of the positive things we have in town. For example, a town our size, and we have 2 medical clinics. You got a choice, and not many our size do, whichever one is yours. Things like that, and our weather, and how nice the people are here. And that's why I've always wanted to live here. I've always stayed here, and I consider myself very lucky to live here my whole life, and I want to give other people the same opportunity.
Thank you. Mike, can you share your thoughts on the same question?
Yeah, I've been watching the population drop from about 10,000 when I moved into town in 1975 down to probably in the 5,000 range. That's drastic. It's pretty much around 65 to 70 people leaving International Falls every year. We got to put a stop to it. We need jobs. We need to push economic development big time. And if elected, I get up at 4:30 in the morning every day. I got lots of energy, and I have a lot of contacts. And my plan is to push economic development to the T. And it's in my heart to make International Falls better. So it's definitely on my agenda. We got housing issues in International Falls, whether it's renting, new homes. There has been nothing built to add to housing in the last 2 or 3 decades, not much of it. So we're hurting. We don't have many vacancies for people. We need to get on the stick and get moving. I would form a committee to push economic development. And I know I looked at getting back to the housing thing, I looked at the...
Well, actually, sir, we're at time, but my next question, you're going to start, and you're right on topic. It is housing. So hopefully we can blend right in, if I may start. So if I can set the stage a little bit. In 2018, the city financially contributed to a collaborative effort to have a countywide housing study conducted. So that's what you might have been referencing. The results were delivered in January 2019, which included a 119-page section specific to International Falls, containing several recommendations for the city to implement to address their housing shortage. One recommendation clearly stated that, quote, new home and apartment construction will more likely occur if there is proactive support from the city. What proactive support, if any, would you support the city investing into housing?
Well, you know, the study, I read that. It was 119 pages. I took the time and read it, and the city put in about 6,000 for it. County put in about 6,000. Backus was the driver. They went out and got donations for the survey, and the survey was roughly 35,000, so the city had 6,000 and the county had 6,000, but Backus did such a good job of raising money. You look at the survey and it's huge. We need housing big time, and when you read this thing, it opened my eyes to, I didn't realize how much housing has gone downhill and nobody's building. We need to get on it, and it's important for, luring people to town. You can't bring people into International Falls if you don't have any housing. Infrastructure is important. I'm getting off a little bit, but I could give you a list of all the things that need to be done. And it's in my heart to make this city better.
Thank you. The same question, Keith?
And there is a perfect example of economic development, housing, infrastructure we do have. It's kind of a circular operation. You need the housing to draw the people for jobs. If we have jobs to offer and good housing stock for, say, an owner of a corporation who want to live here. But you also have to have the jobs so people can afford decent housing. I think we need to, one of the aspects that we need to do is rental housing. I'm for the rental housing licensing. I'm not necessarily for hiring a new position at the city, but that's been on the council table or in city ordinances since I started, actually before my first term in 2012. So some things like I do agree with Mike, we got to start moving. There's stuff that's been sitting around since before I was on the council in 2012, and it's still there today, 8 years later. And that's one of the things I'd like to do is get some of the projects that are already started. Before we start new ideas, we need to finish what we have. And then when it comes to paying for studies, I believe in it, but I think we all know where the housing problem is in town. If we have one, if not, you haven't been around or drove around. And if you have studies, I think you have to also do what they say or the best you can.
Thank you. Our next question, we'll start with Pete. As an example of the city's expanding expenses, this week the council passed a motion to implement the use of body cameras for the police department with no discussion on record of how much these cameras are going to cost the city. With a shrinking tax base to support the city's spending, which is now up to $15 million annually, do you believe the city has a responsibility to replace this lost tax base? And what are your ideas on economic development that could bring additional revenue to the city?
Yes, it is our responsibility to expand the tax base any way we can. And one of the things, like I said earlier, we got to show that we're welcoming to other businesses to come in town and we're willing to help them the best we can. It all serves, like I said before, economic development. We got to be proactive. We got to be welcoming. We got to be willing to have people come to town, and also the people, depending on the business that comes to town, if they're different than us, we got to be open to them coming here too. And if we can also get a good start on it, though, by attracting one family at a time to town. By what we have for amenities, schools, recreation, just the area we live. One family in town, say they buy a house, they have 3 children, those children go to school. And one of the things that can help bring 1, 2, 3 families at a time is broadband internet. We need to do all we can to get the best internet we can, as we found out in these hard times, that is by far would be a hard driving factor to have here, to have internet so people can work at home, say their business or their offices in the Twin Cities or wherever. People can do the job from home. They don't have to build office space. I think we would really open options.
Thank you. And now we'll move to closing candidate statements. So we're asking the same question of everybody running into office or I know you both served previously, but new to these roles. The question about serving in public office, as you both again are familiar with, does have its peaks and valleys. So what motivated you to return to office, or Mike to move even into a bigger public role from school board to city? And what are your goals for your position? And Mike, we'll start with you.
Well, I was proud to be on the school board. I served in every position, and especially the year I was chairman, I had a real important thing to work on, and that was we needed to replace the refrigeration in Bronco Arena. And along with that, we had to figure out where the money was going to come from to take care of that. There's huge tradition in International Falls in hockey and different things. You got ice, you got figure skating, different things in Bronco Arena. So as chairman, we formed a Blue Ribbon Committee to get out there and get going on how we're going to raise money. And one of the biggest things was we put it to the taxpayers referendum, and our Blue Ribbon Committee went out there and pushed it hard, and very successful. A lot of people didn't think it was going to go the referendum, but it did, and we got the job done. Going from school board, and then the negotiations during that time, we cleaned that up and went successful. And I love working on negotiations. That's why I get along good with the teachers and paras and maintenance people and stuff. And so I wanted to make sure that the negotiations went good when I was chairman too, and it did. The decision to go city council, I know we need economic development. My idea is I wanted to get onto the city and push economic development, make International Falls better. I've had a lot of leadership. I got lots of energy, and so I'd like to be on the city council. I really would.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you both for attending the forum this evening. Best of luck. Okay. Oh, sorry, Keith, you're right.
Even though we
would like to do your no.
Even though we got some of my time.
I was just watching time. No, extra. Welcome.
I know. But what did I need to get back into what Mike did it the first time I ran? Because I believe I've been so fortunate in my life for living in International Falls and having a great life. And I believe if you're fortunate in your life, you need to give back. And one of the reasons I can give back in ways is be on the city council, and that's a big reason to give back and make it a wonderful place to live, to raise a family and live. And in my case, that family consists of me and my rescue dog, Bandit.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you both. Okay, we move on now to the race for International Falls Mayor. And the candidates with us here this evening are Michael Barr, the incumbent Mayor Harley Droba, and Andrew Pekarsky. If the three of you would please approach the front tables. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to start with opening statements. And in the cycle we've been doing, we're just keep moving in alpha order rotation. So I would ask Michael to please give the first opening and a brief introduction of yourself for us this evening.
I'm Mike Barr, 40 years old, was in the United States Army for 3 years. I'm a business owner, and if elected mayor, I'd like to keep taxes low, a balanced budget.
All right, thank you, sir. And Mayor Droba?
Hi, thank you. My name is Harley Droba, the mayor of International Falls. If I was to describe myself in one word, it would be independent. I may not be independently wealthy, but I've worked very hard for everything I have. I've served my country, started a coffee roasting business, I've opened a bowling alley, I've worked for others, I've worked for myself. I co-founded nonprofits, and I've served as a state representative for a national nonprofit. I am currently a union coffee shop manager, a paid nonprofit manager, and a Main Street business owner in our community. It is my political independence that shows my true character. In an effort to be transparent, I bring tough issues to the city council that may pass that I disagree with. I also bring items that I support that I assume will fail. I do this because our council and the community need to know what we are doing. I have worked with one of my largest critics to not to get them on my side, but because I want them to, what they wanted to do would make the city better. I'm an independent thinker, making tough decisions, and but not only listening to those that are affected, but trying to compromise for the long-term benefit of International Falls. Thank you.
Thank you. And Andrew, if you'd like to share our opening statement.
Hi everybody. I'm Andy Christy.
If you might pull the mic forward just a little bit closer to you to be heard. Crosses.
I don't care about this clock. Here we go. Hi, can everyone hear me now? All right. Hi, I'm Andy Christy. I was born and raised here. I love this town. I love this community. I'm not prepared for this at all. But I promise you that if you vote for me, we will create actual change. I promise. And I understand that I'm probably not going to be mayor because I will eradicate every bit of corruption in this town that you have all been subject to. Right? Anyway, I just want you all to know, if you vote for me, I promise we're going to make this a community we can be proud of again. Thank you.
Thank you. Our first question, we'll start with Harley then. As mentioned, city spending has increased to a $15 million budget for 2021. Included in the city's annual spend, 1% of the budget has traditionally been appropriated towards nonprofit groups that perform valuable services on behalf of the city, such as Bacchus, the museum, Chamber, and KCC-TV, to name a few. The draft 2021 budget, passed on September 28th, cuts over $70,000 of requested nonprofit funding. These cuts jeopardize the performance and function of many of these organizations at a time when they are working with limited resources during a pandemic. Will you explain why these cuts were made with no notification or communication to the partner organizations?
Absolutely. This year's budget was incredibly difficult. We started it earlier in the year, and we did have to cut monies from Bacchus, from the Chamber, from all of the organizations that you had mentioned. The problem we have is we're still pulling $126,000 out of reserves to get through this budget. I think we can all remember back when Tim Pawlenty was governor, and even though monies for LGA were allotted to the cities, it was still pulled midway through the year. We have a major infrastructure project out at the airport. We're trying to continue the projects that we're doing with our city streets and water. And yes, it is. We, as a city council, totally agree that all of the groups that we support and have supported in the past are so important to our community. But as through COVID-19, we have been struggling financially as well. We want to make sure that we have our budget balanced, and we're still pulling monies out of reserve. This is the first year that we've had to pull monies out of reserve to balance our budget, and that's still with a 6% levy increase if we can't get the monies funded for the airport. There's definitely people that are going to say that the airport isn't important and we should just cut that. The reality is it's a project that's already up and running, and it is a multi-million-dollar project. We have to get through this year, we have to get through 2022. After that, that should free up a lot of money for the city, and I do feel bad for the nonprofits. However, it's a tough budget year for everybody.
Thank you. And just for clarification for Michael and Andrew, the state regulates the allowable type and amount of appropriations that cities commonly fund. Do you support the city providing financial support to nonprofit organizations whose work benefits the city, and why or why not? We'll start with you, Michael.
If the budget allows, then certainly. But I mean, if I want to keep a balanced budget and make sure that priorities are taken care of, and whatever those priorities are, try to keep spending down, no new taxes, balance the budget.
Very good, thank you. And Andrew, do you have thoughts on the city providing funding to nonprofits?
Well, I mean, I believe that one of the most important things we can do as a community is to type of repeat your question, please.
Yes. So the state regulates the allowable type and amount of appropriations that cities commonly fund. Do you support the City of International Falls providing financial support to nonprofit organizations whose work benefits the city? Why or why not?
We have to. We have to bring back community. We have to bring back, I'm sorry, but obviously, yes. That's it. Yes. Of course.
Thank you.
Community over everything.
All right. The next question will actually start with you, Andrew. Like many rural communities, International Falls continues to see significant population and job loss. The city and county have jointly spent a considerable amount of money in the past on studies, consultants, and economic recommendations to help provide guidance out of this downward spiral. Of the $15 million budget for 2021, no visible funding is going towards economic development efforts or work on these issues. As mayor, what would be your plan for economic development, and what types of initiatives are you willing to put money towards to bring jobs back to our community and income to the city?
Well, first off, we need a little bit of excitement, right? People are not interested in politics. They are trying to see some sensational stuff, right? And we can do a lot more. For one, we should have a community garden, right? We can have a municipal garden. It can be funded by the city. We can grow our own food. We can create money through that. We can teach people how to grow food. We can all profit without spending very much money at all. Harley, if I may, you're looking to upgrade the audio equipment for the city council meetings, yes?
Correct.
And that's going to cost the taxpayers about $30,000, huh?
No,
But it was $35,000 in the budget.
it's coming out of the CARES Act monies, so we are not actually going to fund it out of taxpayer dollars.
Okay, I appreciate that, but couldn't we do it for a lot cheaper with just like an iPhone in the back? Couldn't we? I mean, like $800?
Good.
We could. And it'd be way better than what we got going on now, and it won't cost anyone $30,000. And then we can use, if we are able to use the funding through the CARES Act to use that money in other ways that might help, I mean, that'd be a good thing, yeah? We can do this stuff way better. We can be more efficient, we can be more effective, and we can definitely do better. We all can. For real.
Thank you. We will ask that same question to Michael. I can. Like many rural communities, International Falls continues to see significant population and job loss. The city and county have jointly spent a considerable amount of money in the past on studies, consultants, and economic recommendations to help provide guidance out of this downward spiral. Of the $15 million budgeted for 2021, no visible funding is going towards economic development efforts to work on these issues. As mayor, what would be your plan for economic development, and what types of initiatives are you willing to put money towards that bring jobs back to our community and income to the city?
I guess my question's always been, what do we have to offer? And so,
Do you have a red light on your? I just want to make sure. You might be a quiet talker. That's okay. All right. You're good.
I don't even think.
Is there a red light? Is there a red light by the button? If you have a button, maybe you can get on. There we are.
Hello?
Yes, thank you.
Well, I guess I was trying to say, like, what does this town have to offer? Like, let's say Remington Arms wanted to come here. Say that was somebody we were actually trying to get, right? So you'd want to say, does our college offer gunsmithing or machining or, talented, skilled workforce? So I think we have to fit what our college provides for like educated people to the people that we want to try to draw into our community, like business-wise. And so if we can match up our talents to who we're looking to get, I think that would definitely get us there a lot quicker than see spending more money on studies.
Thank you. And Harley, the same question?
Can you repeat it one last time?
I sure can. Like many rural communities, International Falls continues to see significant population and job loss. The city and county have jointly spent a considerable amount of money in the past on studies, consultants, and economic recommendations to help provide guidance out of this downward spiral. Of the $15 million budgeted for 2021, no visible funding is going towards economic development efforts to work on these issues. As mayor, what would be your plan for economic development, and what types of initiatives are you willing to put money towards that bring jobs back to our community and income to the city?
All right, that's a very good question. And one of the things that I think we miss quite a bit is we do have key to the Cooch Singh Economic Development Association, and it is an unfunded economic development thing. They are able to get their monies from cold weather testing. It's a joint venture between the city and the county. We do have direct representation from our city members and from our county members. And anything that happens in the city limits of International Falls, or for that matter, anything that happens inside the county is going to be beneficial for International Falls and vice versa. But how do we use those studies that we have? And I think you're absolutely right. And one of the things that I've always thought is we are so, we need other companies to come in, but what we miss is we need to start growing our own. We need to have that new fundamental idea that you can be an entrepreneur. Our kids don't have to go somewhere to find a job. We have things that are available in our community. We can teach things in our schools. But we have to mentor these kids as they're growing up that this is their community. If we need to have something in our community and they want to do it, how do we nurture that so that they can invest into our community? And I know that the Chamber has worked with programs through the school district, but those are the type of things that I think we really need to invest in, is to make sure that our community knows that they have opportunity here.
I concur.
Thank you. Our next question will start with Michael. Local businesses spend a lot of time and resources recruiting people into our community. Our workforce shortage has caused several organizations to start to explore visa programs that could bring in foreign workforce for seasonal employment. Be it students, workers, or visitors, we want everyone who comes into our community to have a positive experience and consider making this their home, regardless of race, religion, or sexual orientation. With so many communities across Minnesota today focused on diversity, do you believe the city has a responsibility in creating an environment welcoming to all people? And if so, what do you believe that role is? And if not, why?
I don't think we're a racist community by any means, and the population and diversity that we have now, I think, is adequate. It fits our needs, and we're used to it. We're good at it. I couldn't see putting foreigners here.
How did it fade out again? I apologize.
So,
Let me hear. Sorry for the bad practice.
I guess, so like, people from Canada or other nations, like let's keep America, like America first, I like seeing American people do American jobs. I've nothing against Canadians or anything. I mean, I know they do come over here, but I just like keeping America first.
I think next in line on that we go to Harley.
I think any way that we can get our business community to have the workforce that we need is incredibly important. And I do think that the city has some role in that. I also think that the roles are not solely on the city. I believe that it's part of the chamber. I think that it's part of the county. I think that business retention, business workforce falls under KEDA as well. I guess I kind of missed part of the question, but it's all of that is what makes a community. you need to have housing, you need to have employment retention, you need to have, we need to grow our own, but diversity is what makes a community, and I truly believe that. I've stood by that, and I think that I've made that very clear in the past. But yes, we need to have people that come to the community and feel welcome, and I think that that's part of the points that Councilor Kaler had brought up earlier today is we need people in our community to feel welcome. How else are we going to have them stay here long term and have retention if you don't feel welcome when you first come here? So yes, I agree with all of the above.
Thank you. And Andrew, same question.
Would you repeat the question?
I sure can. Local businesses spend a lot of time and resources recruiting people into our community. Our workforce shortage has caused several organizations to explore visa programs that could bring in foreign workforce for seasonal employment. Be it students, workers, or visitors, we want everyone who comes into our community to have a positive experience and consider making this their home, regardless of their race, religion, or sexual orientation. With so many communities across Minnesota today focused on diversity, do you believe the city has a responsibility in creating an environment welcoming to all people? And if so, what do you believe that role is? And if not, why?
Of course, the city has a responsibility, right? We all have a responsibility. We need to figure out a way to deregulate humanity, deregulate the normal person while regulating these businesses, okay? The government overreach that we are all under, this thumb that we're all under, needs to stop immediately, okay? We all deserve and have the right to freedom. And that means you get to feed your families, you need to pay for your bills, and it doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter if they say 50% capacity, wear a mask, all that is trash, okay? We need to find a way that we can all make a dollar and help one another to do the same. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I thought I tested this one. Oh! Okay. So I'm going to do this. I think I'm back live. Yay. I was briefly. And again. Okay. Okay. Stop this.
That's a lot of long questions, though.
Sorry. I do get worried.
Got me.
Okay. Next question, last question, we'll start with Harley. The city's recently announced plans to renovate Cary Park based on the upgrades and repairs needed at the Cary Park Arena. While plans are still in their infancy, they are somewhat elaborate and impact the ball field, tennis courts, playground, and skate park, as well as add amenities and features such as a water spray park. Based on the city's finances, do you believe that this should be a priority project for the city? And if so, where would you look for funding for this new recreational center and park to come from?
Oh my gosh, you lobbed that one to me. That's fantastic. Thank you. So, yes, that is one of the things that we started when I first became mayor. We started looking at that because we knew we had problems at Cary Park. The arena has lots of structural issues over the time that we've had it, and if you're going to put that kind of money into a arena, we have to start looking at what else amenities we can have because we are missing. Although Bacchus is fantastic for having the auditorium and everything that we have here, but like a true community center where we can have mentoring, where we can have a city center where we have sports and activities. And one of the things that we're looking at doing there as well is putting together both the senior center and daycare facilities so that we can have a multi-generational use facility. And that's where you get a lot of funding too from the federal government. I've worked with both Senator Klobuchar and Senator Smith's aides on this one. There is lots of funding through Northland, through all of these other groups. But what we have done is we put together the group of people that are the core users, which are the rec commission, the city, daycare providers. Well, I'm not paying attention to that. And so there's like a whole bunch of people that we've already started working with, and Rotary's raised money for the splash park for quite some time. We put all of these things together, And we end up having a lot of people that are going into it. And your original question is, where do we come up with funding? This isn't a 2021 or a 2022 project. We're in the infancy for the future of our community. And like I said, we're in a tough time right now with the airport because of this year and next year with the expansion. We will have money freed up in a couple of years. So you have to look at the long-term vision of International Falls, not today. You have to, but you can't just do a project overnight. We have not historically been good at long-term visioning as a city. We got really good at it this year.
Thank you. Andrew, to recap the question.
No, honestly, I don't know much about this splash park. Are you going to charge money for that?
It would be available for all the residents.
So free?
We assume it would be free.
Okay. Well, I'm not opposed to it, right? As long as we're not using funding that can be used in some other way. And as long as it's free, because it's public, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the main things, we gotta have water, right? We gotta have water in parks. Don't we? Yeah, I mean, we gotta have water in our parks. And I think we should have Wi-Fi too. Yeah? In every park. Right? Why not? What if a kid needs to, what if a kid needs to message their parents and they don't got data? We ought to have water and we ought to have Wi-Fi in every park. Simple, right? It's America. We better have some water. That's all I got.
Thank you. Michael, same question.
All right, so on my Facebook page, I kind of talked a little bit about a park over there in Riverview that it used to be a baseball diamond, and now it's overgrown, and it's just prime, to build property. Let's sell something like that to a developer or somebody, make a little money, where we can blow it on something else. There's a few different parks that overlap in some of the things that they do, basketball and arena space and things like that. Let's sell off parts of those that are just overgrown, and maybe that would get us a little money for other projects. I don't know much about this water park at Cary, but I feel like we're spending quite a bit of money on recreation. Somebody's got to mow those lawns. Somebody's got to maintain the properties. Let's start looking at downsizing or selling some of those things and freeing up money that way, perhaps. Just one of many ideas.
Thank you. And then in closing, we'll start with Andrew and ask the same question of a new to elected office candidate. Serving in the public comes with its perks, but can also be stressful and feel thankless. What motivated you to want to serve the citizens of International Falls, and what are your goals?
One of the main things about my political candidacy is not that I want to be mayor or I want to have power or any of that. It's just we all are looking for change. We need to do better. We all do. And we got to get more involved, right? And one of the ways I'm getting involved is to put my hat in for mayor of Cooch County, International Falls, Minnesota. Okay, whatever. Thanks, bud.
Thank you.
Thank you. I wish I could have done better. I'll try harder next time.
Michael, same question.
Well, I guess when I initially put my name in, it was just me and Mr. Harlinger, and I figured, two-party system. I don't know his politics or anything, but if you have two people, that's choice. If you have one person, that's a little like a monarchy. So I just figured give it a shot, see what happens, and if it doesn't go so well, I could try for something later.
Very good. Well, thank you. And Harley, as you seek re-election, what are you most proud of having accomplished, and what are you most looking forward to accomplishing for International Falls in the future?
The thing I'm most proud of is the 5-year CIP and the roads that we're doing this year. A lot of people don't realize this, but just before my predecessor passed away, we were looking at how we were going to do our stuff for this year. And we didn't have a lot of roads. There was a fundamental difference in opinion on Mayor Anderson and myself on how we were going to fund the roads this year. And we decided to bond against it so we could use more money, so we could get more roads done this year and next year. So the 82 city blocks that we were able to do this year, the 72 that we're looking at next year, I think that is a huge accomplishment. There's a lot of things that we've left on the table in the past, which was referenced earlier as well, and I agree with that. The thing is as a city councilor, we weren't able to get a lot of stuff done, and now we're able to move forward a ton of projects that have been sitting on the back burner.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for your participation this evening and attending tonight's forum. Good luck to you. All right. And last but never least, we move to the Koochiching County Board and our District 3 candidates. And with us here this evening are the incumbent Brian McBride and Terry Murray, the challenger. Welcome, gentlemen. We will start with opening statements, and we will begin with Commissioner McBride.
Thank you. I'm not gonna, still working?
Yep.
I'm not gonna thank everybody yet. I'm gonna wait to see how this goes, and then we'll do that in the closing. My wife and I have been married for 47 years, Maggie and I. We have 3 daughters, 5 grandchildren. I've served on the county board for 12 years now, and that was up to 37 years of service with Boise and 2 years at Rain River Community College. I serve on over 22 boards and commissions. Every year, these boards and commissions change. You're always meeting new people, looking at new challenges. These boards I've chaired, and some you just sit on and you listen and you learn. 3rd District, we represent the East Ward of International Falls, Jameson, and French addition to the city of Rainier. And as Terry knows, the majority of our people live within the city. So we are actually commissioners for the whole county because most of our constituents live within the city boundaries of Rainier and International Falls.
Thank you. And Terry, your opening statement?
Just want to let everybody know I'm the younger candidate.
Oops, we're not, I don't know if we're, can you see, is there a red light too? On your...
This one, I got it.
Testing.
Oh, we got a backup. Thank you. No. Thank you, Harley.
Hello, I'm Terry Murray. I was born and raised in International Falls and have lived in Koochiching County all my life with my 2 sons. I have worked 30 years as financial manager and director for Koochiching County Health and Human Services. As financial manager, I developed the skills for accessing state and federal funding for the county, which in turn kept our department the lowest for tax dollar increase in the Arrowhead region year after year. Since my retirement, I have continued my community service to a number of boards. Some of them I'll touch on now. School District 361 I've been on for the last 4 years, and I was part of helping to develop a plan for our schools through this COVID-19 pandemic, and that was a job. North Area Sanitation District, serving as chair for 2 years, including 2020. On Northland Mental Health Services Board for the last 4 years. I'm on the Koochiching Aging Options Boards, providing programming for service for elderly in our county, and the Recreation Board managing activities in the International Falls area. And I'm the youngest candidate.
All right, our first question, we will start with Terry. Koochiching County has historically been resistant to raising taxes. While our low property taxes are attractive to people looking to purchase property in the county, to some, however, this represents lost revenue that has shorted the county funding for economic development and other projects. With a decreasing tax base through loss of business and residents, how does the county make up for this funding? Where do you see opportunity for the county to increase future revenues to ensure that Kujichin remains competitive as a desired location to live and do business?
Our county tax rates are one of the lowest in Minnesota. This can be contributed to a conscientious board and department heads along with staff using funding wisely and accessing state and federal funds. The tax increases are going to happen as cost of living increases. One thing I've seen in the 30 years that I worked there is taxes would go on at zero for years, and then all of a sudden we would have to increase it quite a bit. I think a smaller 1 or 2% increase as needed would make it easier for taxpayers to handle year to year, rather than no increase for years and then expect our taxpayers to absorb a large increase after that. We can't always depend on funding from other areas to get us through continually. We need to also, and I'm sure we'll probably talk about it, but we need to talk about economic growth. That is very important. And I've got some ideas I think that would really help us out. What else do I got here? I guess that's it for now.
Very good, thank you. Commissioner McBride, same question.
This year, the Kujichin County Board, we settled on a 0% tax levy increase. It was not without much discussion. And what Terry touched on is when you have 0% increases, down the road, you may get behind a little bit, and then you end up doing a 2, 3, 4% levy increase, which is a little shocking to the taxpayers. But the county board this year is very, very confident that we are setting financially sound. Our department heads have worked hard, our administration has worked hard, and the county board has worked hard to build a budget and to stay within those budgets. The hardest part about this is the shrinking tax base, and we have had some successes, and one of them is the Island View Sewer Project. About $20 million project, the way it's going to end up, somewhere in that area, maybe even a little bit more. And that is bringing sewer to the whole east end of essentially northern Kujichin County. And we've already had numerous requests for building permits and inquiries on expanding buildings and even possibly maybe some business. That is where we need to go, I believe, with expansion of our infrastructure as much as we can in the old county, and that would bring tax dollars to the county.
Thank you. Our next question, we will start with Brian. The county often defers policy decision-making either up to the state or down to local government, sort of being a bit of a middleman. What do you consider the primary functions of county government and how they positively impact our county's residents and economy?
The role of Kujichin County and all county governments is to provide services, core services to our constituents. And we do that by collecting taxes, that evil word, collecting taxes. But that's how we provide services to the county and to our people. And there's other revenues we receive, and that is IRRB money. We do get some local government aid. But our core responsibility is to provide services through health and human services, environmental services, law enforcement, protection, and good roads and snow removal. Those are the core items that the county is responsible for.
Thank you. Absolutely. The county often defers policy decision-making either up to the state or down to local government. What do you consider to be the primary functions of our local county government, and how do they positively impact the county's residents and economy?
Brian said the county is responsible for a lot of programs, a lot of services.
I think the yellow mic, the other one, the one Harley brought you. Okay. Let's try it. Yeah, there you go. You got a live one. Thanks.
I don't know if I agree that the county does any delegating and giving it to this responsibility to the city or moving it to the state. The county has a lot of responsibility. I worked as a director and financial manager for Couchiching Health and Human Services for 30 years, and we depend heavily on state and federal funding in order to provide the services. Actually, one of the things with our agency was we figured our tax dollars by how much state and federal money, what that wouldn't pay for. And when I go to the board, that would be a big relief to the board when we found out that we could stay within budget, for instance. We have the forestry department, which handles our valuable resources of our woods. Our county has abundance of timber acreage, which is auctioned to loggers for its wood stumpage. This generates revenues resulting in helping offset county expenditures. If we can get some more wood producing companies in the area, get that stumpage back up, that would help cut down county tax dollars. I think the county has in the past and will continue to handle our issues ourselves and not try to push them on to any other governments. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our last question, we'll start with Terry. As stated in the International Falls Comprehensive Plan, as previously referenced, published in 2019, Couchiching County's population has been generally declining since its peak in 1960 at just over 18,000 people to an estimated 2018 population of about 12,000 people, which is a 32% decrease in population. Within that same time frame, the population of the state of Minnesota has grown from 3.4 million to an estimated 5.7 million, or an increase of 68%. The projected continued population loss puts businesses, communities, amenities, and services within the county at risk. What is the county's role in working to stop population decline, and what would you like to see capitalized on for future economic growth?
Well, we all know, or most of us know, what our county offers. One is our natural resources, and I had talked about the wood stumpage and the prices on wood stumpage and how much can be sold is a big part of our county growing. And we have Rainy Lake, including Voyageurs National Park, that makes us a tourism attraction. And with the closure of the Canadian border, many people that have crossed into Canada normally would cross into Canada stay in our area and found our area to be quite appealing. I think this new introduction is going to help our area in the future. But when we get right down to how are we going to get our county to increase in personnel, I think we need to first start thinking about the growth of technology in mind. Currently, we have a group working to make broadband a reality for our area. This, in combination with our international airport, affordable housing prices, choice of school districts, and modern healthcare facilities, along with beautiful natural surroundings, makes a desirable option for people that are looking to get out of the metro area. With the COVID pandemic, many employees began to work from their home. For some companies, working from home will continue in the foreseeable future. I heard a number of people already are considering relocating to our area. This is an example of how utilizing technology will help our area grow. We must start thinking beyond what we already know, and we need the opportunities for us to for that to arrive. We can't keep depending on plans and government funding and someone else to do that for us. We have to find those jobs. We need to be innovative to get people to come here.
Very good, thank you. And same question, Ryan?
You know, the numbers are frightening, but it is not specific to Couchiching County. It is a problem for all rural Minnesota and all rural communities throughout the whole United States. We all continue to battle with the loss of our good young people to the metropolitan areas. We have a program started with KEDA, and it's called, and I think even the Chamber may be involved, it's called Your Ticket Home. And just tonight I was reading an article about Western Tennessee, and they have the same type of thing started. But they are starting to flood the airways and Facebook, Twitter, and whatever, expounding the virtues of rural living. And that's what we really need to think about here. We're rural, we need to expound our features of what we have here. By doing that, we can start attracting the younger people that are maybe a little fed up with what is going on in the major hubs around the country. And we can start welcoming our young people that still love Couchiching County, International Falls back home. The problem is to provide jobs. And that, number one thing we do, we need to retain the jobs we have now. And a lot of that is retail and small businesses. We need to support, we need to shop local, we need to support these people. And when I say shop local, I mean shop all local, not just locally owned businesses. Because the people that are in the other stores that are, even if they're owned from outside, the people that work there are your friends and neighbors. And now those are the people we need to support to make a viable community, to welcome our young people back home. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right. Yes, right. No. We're moving on to closing statements. So we'll start with Terry. Terry, again, knowing that you're a current member of the International Falls School Board and elected, but moving into county role, asking you the question about your call to serve to public office. What motivates you to want to serve the citizens of Couchiching County, and what are your goals?
First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers of this event. I would also like to thank all the people that talked to me from a distance and those that allowed me to put signs in their yards. While talking to people, I was reminded of my father's approach to public service, which was every concern, whether it was from one individual or a group of individuals. It was important to listen to understand in order to be an effective representative of my district. And having passion for your district by even little things, like my father always picking up garbage on his walks, was important. I would be honored to get your vote for the seat of District 3 Commissioner, where I can continue to work for our community and the great citizens of Couchiching County. And last, I'd like to also mention that I have been endorsed by the Couchiching Labor Assembly, which I'm proud to give that honor. And that's it.
Thank you. And Brian, as you seek re-election, what projects are you most proud of having accomplished, and what are you most looking forward to for the future of Couchiching County?
Well, in the last 12 years, we've accomplished a lot, and obviously the big improvements that we got coming forward with the airport and our expansion to the east, which I mentioned earlier. And I'm really proud of the way the county government and employees of the county have stepped forward with the COVID pandemic. We've got a long ways to go, and folks, this is going to be with us for a while. And we need good leadership. I believe as part of that county board, we have good leadership. A number of years ago, a lady came by the name of Kate Miller. I believe she was the superintendent of Voyageurs National Park, and she sat through a county board meeting. And she told us after, she said, it's a joy to watch local government work, where people get along, they discuss, they don't always agree, but you have your vote and you move on, not what is happening in the state and federal government. That's what I'm most proud of, the way we get along and get things done. And I too would like to thank K104, KCC TV, the Chamber, Bacchus, and especially a gentleman sitting over there, Mr. Ward Merrill. He's going to retire, and Ward, thank you for what you've done to this community.
Thank you both for attending this evening, and good luck with the election.
Thank you.
So this concludes our forum this evening. The International Falls Area Chamber of Commerce hopes this forum has delivered important information to you, the voters, on the issues and the candidates. And we'd like to remind you that using your vote on November 3rd is using your voice. Thank you, Ward Merrill and Bacchus Community Center, for the use of this wonderful historical auditorium. Thank you to the Chamber staff and other volunteers who helped us this evening. Thank you to Evie Conant and Adley Diedrich for your role as timers and keeping us on track. Thank you again to our partners of K104 and KCC TV for their live broadcast of tonight's events. Due to COVID regulations, we are unable to host a candidate reception this year, so please reach out to any of the candidates individually if you have questions from this evening. On behalf of the Chamber Board of Directors and members, a big thank you to each of the candidates for their investment in leadership and their time with us this evening. And last but not least, thank you, the audience, for attending, listening, and watching tonight.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.